What up, guys? We are live. So Pastor Aiden is going to be here any minute. He says he's just logging in now. Well, yeah, this is going to be a fun debate, I think. I don't know. I feel like it could go either way. I don't know too much about this guy. It was just Greg. Props to Greg for setting this up. But I always enjoy debating hardcore religious people because I'm very much not religious. So I think it's going to be a good one. But we'll see how it goes. You know, you never know. Sometimes you wind up agreeing a lot. Sometimes it just winds up being a shit show. And quite often somewhere in between. But yeah, I think it's going to be a fun debate. We're not going to go for too long. We'll go for an hour-ish because then I have dinner plans later. And also he has plans after this. So yeah, we thought we'd do a fun little Friday night debate. I'm looking forward to it. It's been a minute since I debated someone. Also, let's give a quick shout out to Greg. I know you guys all love him and you want to see more of him. But no, if you want to see more of me actually late at night, quite often I'm on Greg's channel around like 2 a.m. when I'm just like fucking, I don't know, a little bored and just shooting the shit. So yeah, sometimes we get into a lot of really interesting, spontaneous debates on there. So actually quite often that's what happens. So yeah, it's going to be a good time. So check that out if you guys want to see me late at night if you're bored. Alex is going to go from playing with fire to being cast in hellfire by Piss. Oh, I'm already going to hell. There's no denying that. I'm a sinner. Alex is the favorite character on the Greg Knight Show. Yeah, there's a lot of people in the PWF universe. PWF first, we call it. We got Mr. Slave. We got like, we got Dennis. There's a lot of characters in this universe. I feel like my camera's a little laggy though. Yeah, I've been fucking around with the settings, so now you can kind of see the sun. Right, looks pretty good. But I'm like a little darker, so I'm still like trying to adjust all the settings to make it look good, where you can see the sign, and I'm not too dark. But yeah, let me follow up with him and see where he's at. Okay, there he is. Let's get him on.
Hey,
what's up, buddy?
Sorry, I am late. It was a serious security thing you have going on your entry there.
Oh, really? No, you just click the link and it takes you straight there. Did you click the image instead of the link?
I did, but I'm not signed into my Gmail here, so I had to sign into the Gmail. But
okay. Well, I'm glad you're here. It looks like it's very, very dark where you are.
It is. I'm driving. I'm super busy, and I apologize. I'm not able to be in a well-lit room, but, people don't need to see my face anyway,
Okay. Well, I don't want you crashing and driving. You're going to be okay to do the debate?
Oh, no, I pulled over.
Oh, okay. All right, cool.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm ready to debate. I've got a few points. Thank you for doing the 5-minute intro, 5-minute outro. Then we can free flow. Appreciate that. And for having the balls, Alex, because I preach 48 universities and have battled many professors on campus, and nobody ever invites me to debates. And the 3 or 4 debates I have, they never post them on YouTube because, the guys get crushed and they feel like, cucks and mice. And so I appreciate you having some balls.
Yeah, ditto, man. I will say the same thing. A lot of people don't have balls. Also, this is completely live, so you don't even have to worry about me posting or not posting it because I don't even have a choice in the matter. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good time. So I'll let you get the first opening statement, and then it doesn't have to be 5 minutes, however long you need, and then
okay,
and then we'll kick it off.
All right, I got 8:05 on my car clock. I'll try to do 5 or 6. Okay, just 30 seconds. The website for the church is keyofdavidcc.com. I have a frequently asked question there. I would challenge you guys to read that because there's been a lot of lies in Christianity that you've digested. So keyofdavidcc.com. We do have a Facebook. I don't man it. One of the church members puts some of our street preaching on there. And my testimonial, I was an atheist, 21 years, raised in California. Did semi-professional snowboarded with Sean White's older brother, Jesse White, was friends with many of the pros there in Lake Tahoe. Did the whole party lifestyle, went to college, started becoming a seeker at age 23. I got baptized, I got saved. Well, 21 to 23, I started seeking God and being convicted of my sins. And 23, I became a radical born-again Christian. And then I went to Bible college, met my wife there, been married 20 years, happily married, 6 children, grandchildren. I'm 45 years old. I did have a detour for a while there in Houston, and it got really big in business. For how much I know about marketing, my YouTube channel and presence is pathetic, not like yours. because I don't really apply any of that. But I used to have hundreds of thousands and all that. And I was on the stage with Eric Trump, Donald's son. I know a lot of the big hitters in the marketing space, was in their mastermind. Did that for about 10 years. Got myself in a little trouble. Did not go to jail. A lot of people lie and say, "Oh, I went to jail." Nope, it wasn't Jordan Belfort here. I did get in a little trouble. And, I rededicated my life 2015, been street preaching ever since, been pastoring since 2016. God's been good. I want to cover 3 big lies right up front before I do a few debate topics. Number one is people say don't judge. That's the stupidest thing ever. You're going to judge me tonight. I'm going to judge you. You're going to judge your girlfriend. You're going to judge your kids. Some of you judge your father and you think he's horrible. Maybe he was, but now you're turning out to be the same way, just like him. So look in the mirror. Number 2, cops judge, Supreme Court judges. So get over it. God's judging you. Everybody judges. So we'll just be upfront about it. I would encourage you to become a pro. Second thing, big lie from the Catholic Church. We're anti-Catholic to the bone. We're, of course, anti-Mormon. We're anti-Jehovah Witness. We're anti-Islam. I'm an anti-atheist, but not the same level as we're anti-Islam or anti-gay or anti-Catholic. So I get a little bit better along with the atheists. Half my family's atheist. I was raised atheist. You're going to hell, don't get me wrong, but at least you're not these Catholics. So here's the big lie. Born sinners. The Catholics invented that to baptize babies. When you think that you're a little nephew, your little son or daughter, you got any kids, Alex?
No, I do not.
Okay. Well, later you do. You're going to hold that baby and be like, this baby is not born a sinner. That's crazy. Yeah, you know what? It's because it is crazy. So even the New Agers agree with me on that one. Nobody's born a sinner. The Bible never teaches that. The Bible says you're made in God's image, and God's not a sinner. So if you're born a sinner, then God's born a sinner. And God wasn't born a sinner. Jesus Christ is God. Jesus Christ is God. He wasn't born a sinner. Otherwise, his death on the cross means nothing. And so what this really means is that you're totally responsible for being a loser, for being a masturbator, a pervert, a homo hugger, a whoremonger, a slut girlfriend. It's your fault. Totally your fault. You're going to hell. It was my fault. I was going to hell. Totally admit it. So nobody can say you're born a sinner. Third big lie is huge. They say, I thought God loves all. Nobody at campus can answer it. They always switch the subject. Every university, University of Pennsylvania, Temple University, all of them. Does God love Hitler and pedophiles? Please tell me no, Alex.
He does not.
Correct. He does not love everybody. So I don't know what's wrong with these people. They have no logic, no brain. God doesn't love everybody. Now, I propose a few things that we can debate about, and so we're a little bit focused, and I'll answer all your questions, and you can bring. But 3 things that are really important to debate. Number 1.
Wait, Pastor Aiden, just hold up 1 second. You're getting some real feedback now. Just started on your microphone. Did you change how you're holding the phone? Because you were good for the first 5 minutes. Now you're getting feedback.
Let me scoot back. I got excited, and when I get excited, sometimes I get closer. How about that?
Say something one more time.
Alex, I love you, but you're going to hell.
You're still getting the feedback. I don't know what happened because for the first 6 minutes you were good. I don't know. Maybe if you just changed how you're holding it, maybe your hand.
Let me try that. Let me turn this volume a little bit down, and let me scoot this further back. How about now?
We're still hearing it, but we can probably plow through that. I mean,
okay.
Yeah. In the chat, if it gets too bad, just let us know and we'll figure something else.
I'll talk a little slower, and then we can open it up for chat questions later. But please don't tell me, don't judge. You're wasting time, or God loves everybody. We covered that. So a couple debate subjects. Number 1, because I just saw your channel, something about whores and bimbos and dating or something. I don't know. But I just want to let you guys that none of your listeners are real men. And we want to debate that. And only Jesus Christ can make you a real man. So that's one thing I want to debate. Number 2, very important, is the resurrection of Jesus. Please don't be one of those idiots that says Jesus was never alive or never walked the earth. Because even Josephus, a Jewish historian, was there when the temple was destroyed in Jerusalem by Emperor Titus in AD 70. This guy wasn't a believer. And he wrote Jewish history, and it's a fact. Josephus said Jesus walked the earth. Pontius Pilate wrote 1 letter. He said Jesus walked the earth. So nobody can debate whether he walked the earth or died on the cross. The thing that we need to debate is the resurrection, because that is what hinges your eternal damnation or pleasure in heaven. Okay? And number three, a debate. I want to talk about whores and housewives. Whores and housewives. And what does the Bible say? Because the Bible has a lot to say about this subject. So those are the three topics. All right, I'm done with my 5 minutes. Thank you.
Sorry, what was that last topic? Tell me the last topic again.
Whores versus housewives. And what does the Bible say?
All right, cool. I'm just writing everything down. Okay, so my opening statement will be quite quick. So I agree with you about some of the things you said. I agree with you about judging. Everyone judges. There's no point in pretending like you don't. If there is a God, I'm sure he would not love Hitler or Satan. Or, I mean, not Satan, but fucking pedophiles and all that. So yeah, like if you think about logically, why would he love bad people? Okay, so those are the two things we agree on. Now, here's where the disagreements start to begin. So you're quite firmly taking an anti-Catholic position. You're basically saying, hey, everyone who's not my church is wrong. How do you know?
No, that's what they say.
Wait, let me just get through the opening statement, then we can
Okay, yeah, I don't say that. You don't have to be in my church.
Okay, so you're not anti-Catholic then?
No, I am anti-Catholic. I'm saying if you are in the Catholic Church or Mormon Church or Jehovah's Witness, you're going to hell. You could be in any born-again church that believes the Bible and practices the Bible, and there's millions of us around the world. We're Protestants for a reason. Protestant means protest the Pope. That's the Reformation.
Okay, so I will amend my position. So you're not saying it has to be specifically in your church, but it has to be in the same exact subsect of Christianity as you. So Catholics, Calvinists, Jews, Muslims, Buddhists, they're all fucked. They're all following the wrong path.
Except for Calvinists. Calvinists is a group of Christianity, just like Presbyterian or Baptist. So we can get into those different groups, but the main lie is Catholics are not a denomination. Catholicism is a cult. The definition of a cult, and you can look this up, is they say you must be in our church. That's what Catholics say.
Okay. Well, you're sort of implying that when you're saying if you're not in our church, you're going to go to hell.
In a born-again, Bible-believing church, yeah. Then you're going to hell, yeah.
So what is the difference?
Not ours in Pennsylvania. I mean, there's.
No, I understand. There's a group. It's like a franchise. Yeah. There's different ones of them. You don't have to go specifically to yours. You just have to be part of that franchise. So you're saying that, well, Catholics say, like you have to be in our church or you're going to hell. I'm sure Catholic would say, well, you can be in any Catholic church. So I don't see any difference at all. Catholics are saying if you're not in any of the Catholic churches, you're going to hell. You're saying if you're not in our born again churches, you're going to hell. I don't see any difference there. The third claim, which I feel like is a very bold one, is none of my listeners are real men. I think that is an extremely bold claim. I severely doubt, any of my listeners. And I think we're going to get into a debate about what it means to be a man, because that's at the heart of it. But we can crack into that. And it's pretty well. Okay, so you're talking about also Jesus being alive. So I don't think anyone's really, or at least not that many people that I know, are saying, whoa, Jesus never lived. It's a very well-established historical fact that Jesus lived. I don't really think there's much debate about that amongst historians. The debate is whether he really was the Son of God. And then the fifth thing you said is horse versus housewives. I'll have to kind of expand your position on that to see what exactly you mean by that. But yeah, there are some women who are more on the horse side, some women who are more on the housewives. Sometimes the housewives turn out to be horse. That happens quite often as well. So yeah, but if we're talking about I do want to mainly focus on your claim that none of my listeners are real men or the horse versus housewives, instead of getting into a dogmatic debate about religion. Because I'll be honest, I used to be a Christian. I know a little bit, but I don't know too much about dogma. So that's a little bit outside my area of expertise. But here's my general stance on religion. I don't think it's wrong or dumb for someone to be religious. I think it's equally as crazy. Okay, I think the only logical position is to be agnostic, because you really just don't know what happens after death. So being atheist, I would say, is probably as irrational as being religious, right? Because we don't know if there is a God. There could be, there could not be, right? So my position is agnosticism. So I don't have a problem with people being religious. I've seen some of the studies that being religious, actually, on average, religious people are happier. So I understand there's all kinds of secondary benefits to being religious. Where I started taking issue with religion is when it becomes forcing values on other people, specifically saying things like, oh, homosexuality is wrong. Those people are going to hell. These women are sluts, right? So when it's attacking other people, because think about it like this: if me as an atheist or agnostic person, I started coming into your face and talking to your kids, and I was saying, whoa, you guys are born again Christians. You guys are going to hell. You would not like that. You would think I'm a massive fucking prick, right? And that's what
agnostic and atheist people think. That's not you personally. You probably do, but that's what everybody does at the Walmart, the mall, and everywhere. They're always evangelizing with their clothing toward our church kids and my kids. So everybody pushes.
I'm not a fan of that. I don't think anyone should be trying to force their values on your kids. You have a right to raise your kids however you see fit. So I'm not going to be a fan of that either. But okay, let's kind of now get into the weeds of it. Let's start off with this. None of my listeners are real men. So what is your definition of a real man?
Well, there'd be a few things to be a real man. And I would think just from the tiny snapshot I saw of your, YouTube thing, that you have a bunch of whoremongers as followers. And so real men, if they loved their girlfriend, they would marry them. They wouldn't just hit it and quit it and forget it. Or in some cases do that for 6 months or 12 months. And then once a baby comes up, then they're gone. Or they say, let's do an abortion. And also real men aren't masturbators and video gamers. Real men can hold a job, can have self-control. Self-control is a big part of being a real man. And be able to actually love, and love is sacrifice. I mean, I understand a lot of you guys weren't maybe raised with real love and whatnot. And Jesus Christ can bring you up to speed and help you be, a real man and get self-control. But a lot of you guys, you want to get notches on your belt by how many whores you get with. Like, so what? Like, that's easy. Anybody can get a whore nowadays in America. They're everywhere. It's literally 99% of the people. And so to just say, why don't I just get some self-control, wait for the right woman, marry her, and then stay married and actually raise your kids? Because there's no greater thing than having a legacy. Deep in your heart, Alex, and deep in the heart of all your listeners, you want a legacy. There's what I'm trying to point. You want a legacy. And what is your legacy? Well, childless, slept with a bunch of whores. Oh, I did have a kid, but now she left me because she did adultery. Why'd she do adultery? Because she was a whore, because you married one. Baby mama drama. You've got no legacy. You've got no inheritance to pass down later. And it's more than just making money and having a job. I've been there, done that. Had 2 mansions and all that stuff. And I wasn't a man for a few years there. And so I understand that Jesus Christ is the way to make you a man. So no, your guys that listen to your content, I venture to say 99% of them are not virgins. They like whores. They like to gather whores. That's the definition of a whoremonger. So if you think of like a warmonger that likes to do wars to make money, and by the way, real Christianity is libertarian economic libertarian, very conservative, of course. But you guys are whoremongers. So whoremongers are not real men. Are you a virgin, Alex?
No, dude, I have a girlfriend. I'm definitely not a virgin.
You have a girlfriend. How long have you been with her?
Going on 3 years now.
Why don't you marry her?
Because getting married is a massive mistake for any successful man.
No, it's not.
What is the advantage for someone like me to get married?
First of all, there's a lot of people with way more money than you, so don't get a big head. Pride comes before a fall. Secondly,
it's a mistake for those people even more. Jeff Bezos lost literally half of his net worth. He lost
Jeff
$50 billion.
He deserved to lose it because he was an adulterer, and then he got blackmailed.
Okay, well, I'm an adulterer. I'm an adulterer. So what's my motivation to get married?
Oh, your girlfriend knows that you sleep with sluts?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know what level of depravity I'm dealing with. Wait,
it's a high level of depravity, Pastor.
Are you bisexual or gay too?
No.
Okay, well, I'll still talk to you because honestly, if you're a gay, I was just gonna hang up, man. Because gays can't be saved.
Damn, bro, that's so messed up, though. Like, damn, dude,
gays can't be saved. That's in the Bible. It's in Romans chapter 1.
You think that gay people are like literally less important as human beings than like straight people?
Let's get into the gay subject in 30 minutes. We got a lot of stuff.
Okay. Let's. Okay. So I want to respond.
That's where they assault me. By the way, I've been beat up and punched and spit on for 7 years straight. So,
well, I'm sorry to hear about that, buddy. I don't think that's right.
Most of the time, I got to be honest. 90% it's from the gays and Muslims, and 10% it's from really mad feminists that are called whores. But all the feminists do is slap. The Muslims threatened to literally kill me and my kids, and the gays just threatened to kill me and rape my kids.
Well, yeah, I'm really sorry to hear about that. I mean, you're a human being that deserves to be treated with respect, like everyone else. Now, let's get into some of the claims you made. You straw man positioned my audience quite a bit. You said specifically, I wrote this down: have no self-control, masturbators, and don't love. Now, of course, there are some people who watch my channel who fall into this category, just like I guarantee there's some people in your church who also fall in this category. I guarantee you there's some masturbators in your church. I guarantee you there's some people in your church who have no self-control. So that's human beings in general. But a big part of the thing that I teach is to actually have self-control, right? To actually move in a positive direction in your life.
Prove it.
Wait, hang on. Let me finish. You got to let me
Prove
finish.
it, man. Marry your girlfriend. Prove you have self-control. You can't not have sex for 30 days for $1 million. You don't have self-control. Yeah, I
could. Dude, I went 9 months without having sex when I had my when I was bedridden. So yeah,
you were bedridden? That's great. God was humbling you. I'm gonna pray you get bedridden again, Alex. Next time for 9 years.
Dude, you're like a nice guy, but you're also
I want you to find God, man.
It's funny. Like, do you? Oh, okay.
I want you to find God.
Okay. Let me just finish my point because we're getting.
You don't have self-control.
I don't want to get into like the personal shit. Okay. So again, you said no self-control, masturbators, and don't love. There's a whole bunch of people who watch my shit who have massive self-control or non-masturbators and do love. For example, how do you know? Have you met all 100,000 people in my chat? How do you know whether they jerk off or not? Do you have a camera hidden in their room? How do you know that everyone in my audience masturbates?
Birds of a feather flock together.
Couldn't I not just make that same argument that there's been a bunch of pedophiles in the Catholic Church? So therefore,
you should. You know what? You should make that argument because Catholics are a bunch of pedophiles. That's why we tell them to stop being Catholics before the priest molests their kid. Excuse me, priests. Priests are a bunch of pedophiles. Regular Catholics are not all pedophiles. That's Muslims.
Oh, stop, dude. I'm sure you've had a fair share of scandals in the born-again Christian church. Every single church has had its fair share of do you think that every single person who's a born-again Christian is not secretly gay or not a pedophile? Of course, there's clearly people who walk around.
Judases. Listen, you were probably raised around a bunch of hypocrites and Judases. There's a lot of fake churches that don't street preach and go to Planned Parenthood and go to the local college and go to the bar and tell them they're going to hell because they don't have love in their heart. So you
don't think there's a single secretly gay guy in your church?
Oh, no. Gays aren't allowed in our church.
But you don't. Okay, so how many born-again Christians are there, like in America, roughly speaking?
Oh, probably in the world, there's a few million, but most of them are like in jail in China and Iran. America probably has like 5,000 Christians only. There's hardly anybody left.
There's only 5,000 born-again Christians? Your church was that small?
Yeah. Just because somebody votes for Trump doesn't mean they're a Christian. I mean, you got to define what Christian is. That means dying to yourself, living holy. Living holy. That means you're not being a whoremonger, masturbator, a drunk, watching porn, breaking the 10 Commandments. You're not doing those things. And I see a lot of hypocrisy. I've had rebuke 5 or 10 fake pastors every single year almost. A lot of them are on the universities. They come out and they're like the assistant.
Dude, I don't believe there's only 5,000 born-again Christians.
I mean, maybe 7,000. I mean, Prophet Elijah was complaining one day and God said there was 7,000 that haven't bowed their knee to Baal. But that's not the point. The point is,
okay. I'll for argument's sake.
I could be an axe murderer. Everybody could be an axe murderer. But what does that got to do with you and your soul and your accountability and your listeners?
Because let me explain to you what has to do. So you're come on, you gotta let me get worded. You're classifying my audience with a very broad brush and saying, well, these guys are all masturbators and can't love, have no self-control. But at the same time, you're not willing to acknowledge that there's people like that in your community as well. Out of those 7,000 people, I guarantee you got to let me finish, man. In your community of 7,000 people, assuming that number is true, there's at least a dozen dudes who are secretly gay, who are lazy, who mistreat their wives. How do you know? Do you know every single one of them?
That's why the number is so small. Narrow is the gate. Broad is the way to destruction. Many on the day of judgment will say, I knew you, Lord. I was a Christian. He says, depart from me, worker of iniquity. I never knew you. Matthew 7:21-23. Probably the church you were raised in, which is one reason you turned out the way you did.
I wasn't raised in the church. So do you personally know every
Did they homeschool you, Alex? Were you homeschooled?
No, I went to high school and middle school. But okay, so you personally know every single one of the 7,000 people that's a born again Christian?
No, I do not. Or the millions that are in China and Iran in jail.
We're
You know,
not
the
talking
Bible
about
says you
American.
get persecuted. Were your parents ever persecuted for being Christians?
No, they were not. Okay,
Nah,
so
your
again,
parents aren't saved either, man. You have a
okay,
lot of work to do in your family if you love them.
that's fine, bro. Anyway, so you don't personally know every single one of those 7,000 born again Christians. So how do you know some of them are not secretly gay?
There might be a Judas in there. I already admitted
Okay.
that.
So you're willing to admit that there might be people in your community who are secretly gay or who like don't.
But not in our specific church in Pennsylvania.
Okay, maybe not your specific church, even though I think you're probably wrong about that as well. But just overall, born again Christians, your tribe, born again Christians, or your tribe, you're willing to admit that some of them might be masturbators, some of them might be secretly gay, some of them might be this or that, right? So
yeah, but they're not Christians; they're fakers. They're like Judas.
I could just easily make that argument that the people who are lazy in PWF are not real PWF fans. They're fakers.
What is
They're
PWF? What is PWF?
Playing with fire. That's what I teach. Because one of the big things I teach is accountability and being very disciplined and diligent.
Are you like an information marketer, like selling courses on the back end or something?
I have a dating product. Yeah.
So you're like whatever that. What's that loser's name that just got arrested? Tate. You're like a Tate Jr.
No, me and Andrew are very, very different. Also, yeah.
Okay.
I don't ask you. Like, you can ask me all the questions you want.
Dating project, so you're an information marketer. Yeah, you guys suck, man. You guys.
All right, you got to let me finish like some questions because, like, again, you keep detracting the convo. So just let me finish. You can ask me all the questions you want. I'll answer every question you have as soon as we get through this. Okay. So you're willing to acknowledge that there's some LARPers and frauds in your tribe. But then you're attacking my tribe and saying, well, it's a bunch of LARPers and people who are lazy. But actually, one of the big things I teach is be very disciplined. I say that it's better not to masturbate. I say it's better to do no fap. Those three things, I'm actually the opposite of every single one of those things you said. I love my girlfriend. I love my family. I love a lot of people. You're shaking your head, but you know nothing about my relationship. The second one is that I'm not lazy. I work really hard. Hang on, stop. I work really, really hard. And the third thing is you said that I have no self-control or whatever. I have massive amounts of self-control, right? So you're just completely strawmanning my whole community. Now your argument is like, well, if you really loved her, you would marry her. Why? Yes,
action is louder than words.
What is in it? Can you just explain to me one benefit I would get from marrying her?
You get two. One, it helps you get off the path to hell, but it doesn't save you. Don't get me wrong. You still.
Well, I don't believe in God, so there is no path to hell for me in my mind.
Well, she's probably going to cheat on you because she's having sex before marriage. So but legacy, man, you're not going to have any kids. Your kids are going to abort them, or you're going to have kids. You're going to have bastard children, Alex.
I don't want to have kids, bro.
I know it's so pathetic. It's so selfish of you to not want to.
You got
students. You just take money from your students, but you don't want
to. I look at someone like you. No offense, but I think that's very pathetic to dedicate your whole life to a fairy tale, to like only have sex with one woman, to like spend your whole day like preaching and trying to convince people.
Not my whole day. I play Monopoly. Okay. I teach capitalism to my kids.
Okay, well, that's good. But so again, I'm not trying to personally offend you, but like you're saying that you look at me and you think that's pathetic. But I look at you and I think that's pathetic. You're dedicating your whole life to like you don't have enough time to really pursue your passions.
I did. I was semi-pro snowboarder for like 5 years. I've been there, done that.
And that's cool, man. I used to also snowboard a lot, but I'm saying like you don't do that anymore. You have.
What do you mean? I do snowboard. I don't do contests. I go like once or twice a year. I have things in balance correctly.
Okay, but then
that's the problem with you whoremongers.
But here's the thing, dude. I would look and I would be like, well, I can go snowboarding every single day. So I have
trust in your relationship. Your girlfriend.
I have massive amounts of trust.
She doesn't trust you, bro.
She trusts me explicitly. How do you know?
Not my brother. You're not my brother, but it's just figure of speech from my old California days.
But how do you know? Wait, hang on. How do you know that my girlfriend doesn't trust me? Do you know her? Do you even know what her name is?
Because you haven't married her. Deep down, a woman wants to be owned by a man. Women are property.
Me and my
you don't understand the Bible, man. Well, you're totally confused.
I think the Bible is a fairy tale.
You and Tate like just steal our street preacher lines we've been saying for 8 years. The Bible, I own my wife. I own her. And here's the thing. You guys have no authority. That's why you have rebellious women that cheat on you. And
Well,
why
first of
would
all,
you?
I've never been cheated on. Second of all, my girlfriend is not rebellious, but neither one of us wants to get married. Why?
Oh, she does. She wants to not have babies either.
Yeah, she's not trying to have kids either.
Is she bisexual or something? Because
No,
that's a symptom of
no,
queers and gays.
not everyone wants to have kids, dude.
Oh, it's so selfish of you, man. You sound like you're from Germany or something.
Dude, I can make that same argument. So selfish of you to just like pump out a bunch of kids and have them like come in and fucking like be a drain on the system and like fucking taking all our resources.
Drain on the system.
So selfish of you.
Nobody in our church is on welfare. There's no welfare here. No drain on the system here. We're improving the system. I always preach, you guys are going to probably kill your babies. We're going to have 8 babies each, and we're going to take over, and we're going to shut down all the Planned Parenthoods, not just 18 states, but all of them. So just give it another 30, 40 years.
But you think that anything that's different than your lifestyle is just wrong and selfish?
No, not anything. That's putting words in my mouth. I said you can play Monopoly, you can snowboard, you can have hobbies, but don't let the hobbies own you. Have some self-control.
But if you don't want to get married, then you're a piece of shit.
Well, the Bible has a specific list of sins in 1 Corinthians 6, 9, and 10. A drunkard, thieves, extortioners, the mob, homos, whoremongers, cowards. A lot of your listeners are also cowards.
But dude, you don't know anything about my listeners.
I do, because they like to.
Pastor, how many of my listeners have you had a conversation with?
Birds of a feather flock together. I saw your screenshots, man.
That's not answering my question. Once again, how many of my listeners have you had?
Just the screenshot was like sin. So I was like,
how many of my listeners have you had a conversation with?
Oh, you know that. Zero.
So you're just assuming a whole bunch of negative things about a community.
No, I'm not. If someone listens
that you know nothing about.
If someone listens to the Muslim jihadist imam who preaches like blow up, 9/11, then his channel has 100,000, and I just scroll through it and see a few, then I'm going to say 99% of those guys, and a few might be doing research, but 99% love that imam's preaching. So 99% of your people are lovers of you, not haters of you.
Okay, so if I say every single born-again Christian is a pedophile, because I've seen some pedophiles, would that be a fair assessment?
For a Catholic priest, that would fit perfectly, yeah.
What about for your church?
Born again? No, not at all. But that's why you're missing the 99%.
Are you going to tell me your church has never had a sex scandal? And I don't mean specifically your church. I mean born again Christians in general.
We've already covered that. There's Judases out there, man. There's Judases out there. So can we get on to whores versus housewives?
But hang on.
The resurrection of Jesus. Huh?
You're saying it's not fair for me to judge you and your tribe.
You can judge me
based on the actions. Like, okay, I'll rephrase that. It's not fair for me to assume that you're a pedophile and the people in church are pedophiles just because there was a few pedophiles in your community. That's not fair for me to do, right?
I mean, you don't want to be personal. And the personal God is who you're going to answer to one day. And so when we talk about these groups of fake churches and Judases and your listeners, that's all general of groups. But what does that got to do with you personally or your listeners personally who will stand before God one day without their girlfriend and without their mom?
I would like to get an answer to my question.
So me personally, no one in our church is on that list of sins that I just mentioned to you. Zero.
Okay, that wasn't the question. It's not
there
fair.
There was one of them, and I kicked that whore out of the church.
Okay. So once again, the question is
glutton's a sin. I bet a lot of your listeners are gluttons, probably 20%, because that's like statistics in America.
Okay. Once again, the question is it fair for me to say that your whole church is a bunch of pedophiles just because there was a few sex scandals with some born again Christian? Is that a fair statement?
That's not a fair statement.
Exactly. It's not. You're right. It's not a fair statement. So why is it a fair statement for you to say that all my listeners are fucking chronic masturbators and lazy just because there are some chronic masturbators and lazy people?
Because of all your screenshots and your content. So your listeners don't have the balls. Your listeners don't have the balls to listen to some of my street preaching or sermons. I challenge them as men to go listen to that. But they like your stuff because you're a false teacher and you like to tickle their ears and give them what they want to hear with a little Tony Robbins in there.
My listeners listen to me because my advice gets them real life results. Most of my listeners want to become better with women. Some of them get into relationships, some of them get married, a lot of them have casual sex. But my listeners listen to me because my advice gives them value. There's
And
no value that listening to you would give aside from just
get warts on their penises too, because they sleep with whores and bimbos.
Bro, but you can use condoms, man. Like, I don't know how you're like concerned about that.
Of course you could if you're dumb and have worse sex. Like, you guys are so backwards.
I would argue that having sex with the same exact woman for 30 years is way worse than using a condom when you're having sex with an attractive girl.
Definitely wrong. You're wrong on that front too.
Well, have you had sex with a lot of attractive girls?
Brother, I've been trying to tell you over and over again. I'm happily married 20 years.
Before
Your
you got
issue
married.
is you have a perverted mind. Your issue is you sleep around like a flea-ridden dog, like a bastard child that doesn't even want to reproduce and raise kids. Like,
once again, before
everything that's happened to you.
Before you got married, before you got married, did you have sex with a lot of attractive girls?
I mean, I don't know what your definition of a lot is or whatnot, but I mean, I'll put it this way. I was really bad in high school and college. I almost smoked a whole cigarette once. And I did wear tank tops to Walmart because I used to play football and wrestle, and I had these huge muscles. I benched like probably, I don't even want to give the number because I'm much more humble than I was. But I when I was married at the age of 24, to my shame, to my condemnation of hell, I have to admit to you, I was not a virgin. But I was going to hell. See, that's the difference of me and you. See, a real man can admit it when he's wrong. And I bet you half your listeners, 99% probably, they don't admit it when they're wrong. Or they're cucks, and they just let their girlfriend walk all over them. And like I said, American Day, picking up whores, nothing. No skill to that at all. You just buy them some Chipotle.
Bro, I mean, what you said is like so wrong in so many ways. The biggest one is you think there's no skill in picking up girls. If there was no skill in picking up girls, I would not have my channel. I would have no business.
There's a lot of losers.
Channel,
you're right.
no
there's
audience. There's
losers.
massive skill involved in picking up girls. You just don't know that because you haven't picked up a girl in over 20 years.
I don't want to.
That's fine. You don't have to. I'm glad that you're happily married. But if you were to go out there and start picking up girls, you realize there's a massive amount of skill involved in it.
Well, let me teach you Horology 101.
Are you like operating under the illusion that if you just like go up to a girl, she just jumps on your dick?
Three things about these whores you guys got to understand. Number one, these hoes ain't loyal. Okay? And Chris Brown is going to hell. And number two, these sandwiches don't make themselves. Okay? They don't. Who's going to make the sandwich? I bet half your guys are such cucks, they make the sandwiches. And number three, you cannot train a whore, you cannot tame a whore, and you cannot teach a whore to be a housewife. Only Jesus Christ can teach that. And so when she shows off her butt and her camel toe and her tits to your buddy at the poker game or the bar, and you're like, hey, cover it up a little bit, she's not going to do it. And a lot of you have been cheated on, and you deserve to be cheated on because you were with a whore.
You're just making like so many, bro. You're just completely straw manning everything. You're saying
I'm not straw manning.
You're saying you guys are all cucks. You guys have been stop. Let me finish. You guys are cucks. You guys have been cheated on. But you don't know that. A whole bunch of my people have not been cheated on. I've never been cheated on. I could say, Pastor Aiden, I think you're being cheated on. Okay, Alex, what's your proof? Well, I don't have any proof, but it's just kind of like a feeling I have. I just like, like maybe your wife is getting bored, having sex with the same person for 20 years. I'm sure she's cheating on you. Like what? Like you need to have some kind of evidence or proof to back up that statement.
Because you're a whoremonger.
Can you?
I mean, it's like asking a crack addict, like, hey, you really smoking crack? Yeah, 9 months because I was bedridden. Oh, that's the only time.
Bro, if you can, okay, this is what I mean by proof.
A sex crackhead.
If you show me like some kind of study that suggests that like I don't know, like Christian couples cheat less than like atheist couples or something like that.
Less, because
but your idea of proof is just making a ad hominem attack and saying,
no,
you guys are whoremongers.
No, you've got to get it through the head. Most Christians aren't Christians. Your whole family and, well, not your whole family, but your parents, for sure. And probably most people in the church you grew up in are going to hell. They're not real Christians. You don't have many real examples around because there's not many of us left in America. You probably
Dude,
think Trump's a Christian. Trump's not a Christian, man.
No, I actually agree with you. I don't think he's a Christian. Dude,
Thank you.
Catholics, Jews, every other type of religious person, they would say the same exact thing about you. They would say, you're going to hell. You're not a real Christian.
No, they don't say that.
Why are you right and they are wrong? So if a Catholic,
they don't have balls to say it. A lot of Muslims and Jews and Catholics never tell me I'm going to hell. They always say, "Oh, God will judge you," because they're sissies. They don't. I don't care. I'm judged by God. I don't care if people say I'm going to hell. I know that I'm a born again Christian. I'm obeying the Bible. I'm persecuted for the Lord. If you're not persecuted for Jesus, and you're lukewarm, you're going to hell.
Can you give me some kind of evidence that your subsect of Christianity is right and the other subsects of Christianity are wrong?
Yeah, because we follow the Reformed faith. I mean, Martin Luther broke off all of Germany from the wicked Catholics, and then Calvin broke off Switzerland, and then John Knox helped to break England out of their grip. And then the Pilgrims and American history, if you actually studied American history, who were these Pilgrims? Christians, Puritans. Who were they? Christians. Yeah, thank God for the Salem's witch trial. I don't apologize for it. Okay.
Bro, that's not proof. That's just a random anecdote.
No, it's not. We invented Harvard and Yale. The Bible says a tree's known by its fruit. Fruit. Say we have good fruit. We made hospitals.
So, wait, is your argument for why? Is your argument for why your subsect of Christianity is right because you guys invented Harvard and Yale? That's your argument.
And orphanages and America in the beginning before the Constitution came along and the Freemasons took over. Don't be a Freemasons; they go to hell too.
Bro.
Okay. Yeah, we have fruit. Yeah. So my argument is the Bible says you must live on fire and you must live holy and you must have good fruit after you're saved, not before you're saved, like the Catholics and Mormons teach, works-based, but after you're saved. So that's the qualification. It's very simple from Jesus. And they're like I said, a lot of us are in jail in other countries. They'll probably throw me in jail in America, and I'm guessing 10, 15, 20 years for, hate speech laws like they have over in England.
I don't think you're going to jail, man. Okay, well, but your argument, your logic is terribly flawed. You're literally saying, well, the reason my subsect of Christianity is correct is because we did this and this and this. Other subsects of Christianity have also built colleges and done that. So that's not evidence that your religion is correct. That's just evidence that back in the past 300 years ago, you guys did some good shit. Every religion has done some good shit. Every single religion. You can't name a religion and not point to one or two things they built. So the fact that you guys built Harvard and Yale is completely irrelevant to whether you're correct or not, dogmatically.
Okay, can we talk about the resurrection of Jesus? Because that's what this whole thing hinges on. And your listeners are going to hell because they don't believe the resurrection and they haven't repented of being whoremongers.
Yeah, sure. If you want, I mean, again, I think that you're kind of understanding the point I'm making, but you don't really want to engage in it. But that's fine. We can move to the resurrection of Jesus. So yeah, what do you want to say about that?
I want to say that Jesus said he's God, and anybody on earth today, if Alex, they said I'm God. Like if you called yourself God, if I called myself God, you can only fall in one of three categories: Lord, that means God; liar, or lunatic. Good teacher is not an option. So any of your people in their mind that say, oh, Jesus was a good teacher, like what Buddhists say and stupid atheists, and not all, but some, agnostic, oh, Jesus is a good teacher. Logically, it's not even an option because he called himself God. So he either is God or he's a straight up liar or he's a lunatic. Well, he's not a liar because his fruit and the way he spoke, if you read the Sermon on the Mount, I challenge your men to read Matthew 5, 6, 7. Jordan Peterson started reading the Bible. He's almost converted. He's not there yet. He's getting closer. We're praying for him, praying for Joe Rogan. They're going to get there. Elon Musk did an interview with some Christians. They're getting a little closer. They're not there. But read Matthew 5, 6, 7. No one spoke like Jesus. He didn't lie. He could have got out of the crucifixion.
Well, you're saying that he's the son of God because he's a very good public speaker?
No, I'm saying read it for yourself. Have some balls. Have some balls. He didn't deny that he's God to Pontius Pilate, and he got put on the cross.
Okay, that's fine. I'm sure.
The high priest slapped him. The high priest spit on him. The high priest did this, and he said, who are you? And he said, you're going to see me coming in glory, and you're going to see me reigning and ruling. And so he wasn't a liar. He wasn't a lunatic. He's Lord. No one can walk around. So just don't call him a good teacher. I know I can't convince you. I can't convince you, Alex. I get that. But just anybody out there is calling Jesus a good teacher, you're an idiot. You're stupid.
Okay.
You're dense. You're dumb. No one even can think that. You got to call him a liar. You got to call Jesus a lunatic, or you got to call him Lord. That's your only option.
Okay. So do you think if I tell you that, hey, my grandfather used to call himself the Son of God, would that make it true?
Did your grandfather raise from the dead?
We don't
Nah.
know. You can take my word for it. I think he did. Yeah, I saw it.
Did a bunch of apostles die for him?
Yeah, I think some people died. Yeah.
No, your grandpa's still in the grave. He might be in hell. I don't know. He's old school. He might be in heaven. There was more Christians.
But do you not see the logical fallacy you're in?
No,
you're saying like you're saying, wait, stop. You're saying that, dude, like, I'm not going to take your word for it, that the fact that your grandfather was the Son of God doesn't make sense for me. But you're taking the word of people who lived 2,000 years ago, who you never met, you know nothing about. Like, why are you comfortable taking word of people who lived 2,000 years ago, but you're not comfortable taking my word?
2 reasons. One, because I had a personal encounter with Jesus and my life was changed. And so has millions of other people, not just me, but millions of other people have had their life totally changed by Jesus Christ, who did die on the cross for their sins. And his spirit lives in me. And I know that's something you can't, logically break down, but there are ontological arguments. There are theological arguments. There are scientific proofs. There's all those things there, but it's a waste of time to go through them, because your men that listen to you need to repent of their personal sins. And
you have to first convince us.
The apostles died.
Before the repenting can begin, you have to convince us that your ideology, your theology is correct. You have not convinced that. The only argument you have made so far is that he was a good public speaker. Okay, sure. No, Tony Robbins is a good public speaker. Doesn't make him the
that was a small part of my argument. My argument was he's not a lunatic because of the way he spoke, and he's not a liar because he could have got out of the death penalty. He could have just said, no, guys. Like right now, somebody put a gun to your head, you'd probably start crying like a bitch. You'd probably start. And by the way, this is biblical language, very strong. If you read the book of Ezekiel, that's why we call them fags and sluts. Okay, because that's.
How do you know that he was not just a crazy?
No, I'm saying he could have got out of the death penalty, but Jesus said no. It's my plan to go to the cross.
Okay, how do you know that he was? How do you know that he wasn't just a crazy delusional person?
Anybody can go read the Gospels. It's 4 different authors, 4 different perspectives.
Right. There's four in the more. Okay. Do you think that
not for Plato, not for Socrates?
Do you think John Smith, the guy who invented Mormonism, you think he was like a lunatic?
Joseph Smith's in hell. Yes.
He was a lunatic, right?
Him and Muhammad both saw demons that they thought were angels, and they wrote single books that contradict the Bible. And the Bible's not a book. The Bible's a library. 66 books with no contradictions. Definition of a library is multiple books. So don't call it a single book.
Those people are lunatics, but yet a whole bunch of people wrote about them and documented the encounters. So what makes them different than Jesus?
Look at their
wrote about Jesus. A bunch of people wrote about Muhammad. What is the difference?
The fruit speaks, man. The Mormons, the fundamental Mormons, which were the original, all had like 8 wives, 9, 10 wives, a bunch of polygamists. Your guys would probably love that because they're a bunch of whoremongers.
What fruit?
And the Muslims have 4 wives each, and then they fly planes into buildings and kill children. So our fruit is good. Their fruit's bad. You'll know a tree by its fruit. I know your girlfriend's a whore. I know your girlfriend's a slut, Alex, because she sleeps with you outside of marriage.
I'm going to appreciate if you don't insult my girlfriend. I'm not trying to insult your wife. Because I could say your wife is probably some fat Bible-thumping chick, right? So let's not get into like attacking each other's family.
My wife's a Bible thumper, but not fat.
Oh yeah, well I bet she's not that attractive. There we go. This is not just. I don't want to.
You can check that. Hey, you guys can go look at our street preaching if you have some balls. It's there.
It doesn't take balls to pull up a YouTube video or Google page. Taking balls is something.
Yes, it does. Why they taking my pages down?
Taking balls is being a soldier, putting your life at risk, being a firefighter. That takes balls. To go on a website and take a look at your YouTube videos doesn't take any balls. That's just
it's a baby step for your beta men. You got a bunch of beta. I gotta give them beta. I can't tell them to go stand in front of a mosque and tell them Muhammad's in hell, which is what I do.
I would say all the religious people are massive
they don't have the balls for that.
Bro, I would say all the religious people are massive betas too. Like they're fucking, like they're afraid of some fictional thing that has no proof. But okay, anyway, I don't want to get into anonymous. I want to go back.
Well, you fear the government, and I don't fear the government. So who's the beta?
I don't fear the government either. Okay, going back to okay, so you're saying like again, you're saying that like, well, yeah, like these Muslims or whatever,
Do you like
this
Muslims?
Muhammad was delusional, right? But but then like there was a book written about him. There's a book written about Jesus. You're saying the difference is because you have to look at the fruit. So what is the fruit that you're specifically talking about with born again Christians? What is this fruit aside from 2 colleges that were built?
Founding America, breaking the tyranny of the Pope, of Catholicism, starting all the orphanages. Also, a lot of people that used to be on drugs that aren't anymore. A lot of whores that are now housewives. A lot of masturbators that are now clean. We have a lot of fruit. We have astronauts. One of them been to the moon.
Every single one of those things you said applies to Catholics.
No, it doesn't. Catholics have Mary as their co-redeemer.
You don't think Catholics? Wait, dude, you don't think Catholics have ever built a church or built an orphanage or been successful?
Yeah, I understand.
You said applies to every single religion out there.
Some have better works than others. I mean, I went to India on a mission trip, and there's a lot of skinny people and fat cows, so they're idiots. They should eat the cows. But there are people starving everywhere while they worship animals. So Hinduism is a really stupid religion. About the only thing worse than that is Catholicism and Islam because they're so violent.
But Catholicism
very violent. 50 million Christians killed during the Dark Ages. 50 million of my people, Anabaptist, Apostolic, Pentecostal, killed by the Catholic Church. Yeah. Literally, the Pope is the Antichrist. Were you raised Catholic? Or like Baptist?
I was not raised Catholic. But anyway, I want to go back to this.
You were raised Catholic. Man, no wonder.
No, I was not raised Catholic. But you're saying stop. You're saying that the reason that whatever like your religion is right is because you have some successful people who were born again Christians. That applies to every single religion. Are you saying there's no successful Christian Catholic people out there? Are you saying that Catholic person has never created an orphanage or been to outer space or done anything that's worthwhile? Pretty much every single president was Catholic.
I'm not saying that.
So Catholics have done a lot of shit. So has every other religion.
I'm saying that Jesus said to feed the sheep, not molest them. We have better fruit than the Catholics and Muslims. Born again Christians, Protestants have better fruit. That's
really there's only 6,000 of you. If you guys
but there used to be millions of us in America, man. We founded America.
Well, it seems like not a lot of people believe in what you're selling.
True. The gate is getting narrower. True.
So if your fruit were so good, then why wouldn't everyone sign up to be a born again Christian?
Because remember, they're not born sinners. They're rebels on purpose. Hell's going to have more people than heaven.
Okay, so how do you account for all the people who founded America who were deists or agnostic or atheists?
That was like 5% of the population. Ben Franklin.
A big percentage of the founders was not religious.
Yeah, listen. Anybody who owned a black slave that was a founder is in hell right now, and most people won't tell you that. They lift these founders all up high, but a lot of them, like George Washington's, in hell. On his deathbed, he's like, "I'm going to set my slaves free, but not until Martha, my wife, dies." So they're slaves for like 10 more years.
But it sounds like
that's
you
a hypocrite.
It sounds
I'm
like
talking about before George Washington, a little bit earlier, during the golden age of Christianity, okay, where we had a lot of Christians in America. It was very few Catholics and Jews here back then. So we should just become 2 or 3 different countries, maybe 50 countries. That could solve a lot of issues. It's not going to happen. But I can pray for
one of the worst ideas ever. But okay, I don't want to like.
No, federal government is becoming a tyranny, man.
Bro, you really think that if America separates in 2 or 3 different countries, that'll be good for us?
Oh, the more the better. 50 would be great.
Yeah, I'm sure China would love that. Okay, going back to what you're saying.
You do agree China's a threat, then, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, well, I don't know how conservative you are. I just know you're a whoremonger. I don't know if you're libertarian. I don't know anything about you.
I'm libertarian, but it's like largely irrelevant to like the debate we're having in this moment. Like you keep
gold standard, baby, gold standard.
Okay, let's come on, bro. You gotta stop sidetracking because we're not even gonna be able to have a discussion. I want to get a little deeper on this. Okay, so let me try to think of a way that I could potentially communicate to you in a way that will make this make sense. I'm trying to point out that every single one of the reasons you give for your religion being correct applies to almost every single other religion. There is absolutely nothing that you've told me that doesn't apply to several other religions.
66 books, no contradiction. That's what you missed, Alex.
56
Not one book.
books, no
Not
contradiction.
one book. Like the Quran was written by one guy, Joseph Smith, Book of Mormon. We have 66 books with 0 contradictions. That's the number
How
one.
do you know there's 0 contradictions?
I've read it multiple times.
Okay, let's
a lot of times.
Let's quickly do a fact check on that and see what
you got to use Google for your homework, man. You probably cheated in high school and college.
No, dude,
You're gonna Google and find some apparent contradictions, but that's just written by some like Stephen Hawking who's in hell right now, or some loser. Why don't you go watch Richard?
That argument is so flawed. I would say that every single thing you've read is written by some weird religious zealot.
Moses, the founder of the Jews, he's a real. You think so? If you're going to insult Moses, you're going to insult all the Jews, because the Jews believe in Moses. He wrote the first 5 books.
I'm perfectly okay insulting every single religious person out there. I don't really give a shit. But anyway, so like, have you been able? You guys believe in the Old Testament, right?
Did Moses write the first 5 books? Yes. Do the Jews believe in that? Yes. Okay.
I don't care about Jews, dude.
No, I'm just saying there's some things there that you're not understanding.
Okay.
Moses didn't disagree with Jesus Christ, and Apostle Paul didn't disagree with Moses. There's no contradictions in the Bible. 0.
Okay. What?
We got about 10 minutes. So I'm going to let you talk for 5. I'm going to listen real close. I'm not going to interrupt you. And then you give me the last 5.
Well, I just want to ask you a few questions. And that's fine. We can wrap up in 10 minutes. What language was the Old Testament written in?
Hebrew.
Hebrew. Do you speak Hebrew? Do you know how to read Hebrew?
I read Hebrew when I do the Strong's Concordance. It goes Hebrew to English and New Testament Greek to English. I look up words almost every morning. Yes.
You're telling me you're fluent in Hebrew, really?
Do you know how to use a translation of a Spanish to English dictionary?
So you use Google Translate to translate?
No, I don't use Google. It's called a Strong's Concordance. And if you know how to look up amigo, which means friends, then you can look up thelios in the Greek word, which means perfect. So it's not complex unless you're a stupid idiot.
I don't believe that you can read Hebrew. I just really do not believe
I just gave you a Greek word. Can I enunciate every Hebrew word? No, I cannot enunciate it. But they all say the same thing. Whoremongers like you go to hell. No matter what translation, no matter which way you cut it and slice it, you're going to hell and you deserve STDs. And so does your girlfriend and every adulterer and adulteress. STDs are a great blessing from God upon you people.
It's so funny because you say you're like a good person, you're like this religious person, but in reality, no offense, but you are a piece of shit. And I'm not trying to attack you because you seem
finally
like a nice
got triggered. It took you long.
But when you say things like, stop. Let me finish. When you say things like you and your girlfriend, everyone else deserves to get STDs, you're literally
not everyone. You're
literally wishing negative things. Like, as much as I think like your whole thing is ridiculous, I would never in a million years say I hope you get STDs or hope something bad doesn't happen.
I can't. I'm happily married.
Okay, dude. I'm sure your wife. Well, how do you know your wife is not going to go out there bang some random dude while you're at church and then give you an STD? You don't.
Because she's a Christian. That's why.
So Christian women never cheat.
So 9 months you were in bedridden, and this is how you turned out. You're going to be in 9 years next time, man.
But like every time you're pressing a point, you just resort to ad hominem attacks, which like kind of blows my mind.
Your question about Hebrew and Greek. Let's give me some more questions.
It like blows my mind that someone who's like believes in the Bible and like is like ultra religious is actually like seems like a fairly miserable human being who's like just like wishes bad things on other people. It's just funny that the agnostic person, I think, is a much better person who actually doesn't wish negative things on other people. So that's just food for thought for you. But okay, let me pull off.
I'm very happy. I'm very happy, just to let you know.
I mean, Hitler was pretty happy too.
You look kind of miserable.
Not really, dude. I have an awesome wife.
But you don't have a wife. You don't own property.
I don't want a wife. And if I did have a wife, I certainly wouldn't think that she's my property.
No kids. Man, you're going to marry a feminist. It's going to get worse for you one day.
But bro,
no legacy. No legacy for you. Not even real men. Real men have a legacy and leave a legacy and raise up children that follow in their footsteps. I mean, like, it's that's another subject. I'll shut up. Let me
okay.
your last
I'm going to share my
last 5 minutes.
Let's do a little thought experiment. I'm going to share my screen. So this is in Hebrew. Can you read this? Like, can you translate?
I use a strong concordance.
What the hell is a strong concordance?
Google that.
Well, just tell me.
I just told you. You can translate. You translate words. It's an actual big, thick book, the same way you have
Okay,
Spanish
you're
to
using,
English
okay,
dictionary.
so dude, so you're using a translator. So you
I don't use Google Translator, man.
It doesn't have to be Google Translate. You're using a different translator. But the point is, you do not know how to read Hebrew.
Well, are you saying that all 300 translators from King James time were all idiots, even though they went to Oxford and Cambridge? No, they weren't idiots.
What I'm saying is that you do not know how to read the original. You do not know how to read the original text. So therefore, you're not trusting
I read it all the time, man. I just told you I read it every morning.
Dude, you're not like, I don't know why you keep
translate a Spanish sentence. Whoremonger, Alex. How fast do you translate a Spanish sentence into English? Probably about 2 minutes. It's a little slower. It's a little longer.
I don't speak Spanish, but when I do speak Russian fluently, and when I read Russian, I don't need to rely on a translator because I actually know how to read Russian. You do not know how to read Hebrew. I don't know why you're like dodging this. Like I'm
really glad you're not a communist because Russia might nuke us. It's either Russia or China. Okay. God's going to really smash America one day.
Detracting. Once again,
no, why
don't you just own the fact that you don't know how to read Hebrew?
What part of translation do you not get, Alex?
Yes, you're using a translator.
Same with Greek.
Dude, that doesn't make
it says whoremongers go to hell. It's very simple. Drunks go to hell.
It's so weird. Like, why don't you just like admit that you don't know how to like read Hebrew? Like, why do you keep pretending like you do?
I never said I read Hebrew. You're putting words in my mouth again.
Okay, so you don't know how to read Hebrew. Very simple. So then, therefore, when you are reading your Bible or whatever, you're not relying on Moses. You're relying on the person who translated all the shit he said to English. So
you don't think I double check it?
So you're not relying on apostles. You're relying on translators. How do you know that they didn't screw you over?
Because I double check things all the time. That's what I just.
How? If you don't know how to read Hebrew, how could you double check?
Oh, you're so dense. I can't believe I'm having this conversation this deep into this. I thought by now you'd understand. If you have a Spanish to English dictionary, you can look up word by word and literally remake the sentence. Duh.
Okay, so hang on,
you're saying you word by word remake the sentence, man.
You're reading the Old Testament.
I'm going to give you 3 more minutes, and I'm going to take the last 5 because we're at 1 hour and 4 minutes right now.
Dude. Well, first of all, it's my channel, so like you're not going to tell me what we're going to do and not.
Well, I'm going to hang up in 8 minutes because I have a life.
Fine. You can.
I preach to you in your group long enough. I preach to 1 million people a year. Okay. I love you enough to tell you guys to stop being perverts. And
it doesn't seem like you love us at all, since you're saying that you hope we all get STDs.
Not all of you, just the whoremongers. I don't want the virgins to get STDs.
There's no virgins on my channel, bro. Everyone gets laid.
Yeah, by whores and sluts. Okay. Baby mama drama is in your future.
Okay, if you say so. Let me change gears a little bit since we're not making any headway on the Hebrew topic. Do you believe that dinosaurs were alive at the same time as humans?
It was in the Arizona newspaper back in 1848 when they killed one of them. They were around during the times of the kings in England. Where do you think the legends of King Arthur came from and dragons? They were killing dinosaurs for a long time. And I'm very thankful for that. I'm very thankful that we've killed those beasts. And they just found some actual, if you Google this, just type it up, you can Google it, actual cartilage of a dinosaur. So, yeah, I believe they're 6,000 years old. Absolutely.
But you're saying not only 6,000 years ago, you believe they were around 1,000 years ago, right?
A few hundred probably. A Loch Ness Monster is probably a dinosaur that's still around. But how old is the half-life of C14?
You think that there's a dinosaur alive on our planet?
I don't know that. I'm saying if there's a Loch Ness Monster, which there has been rumors in Scotland and pictures and all that, if there is, it is a dinosaur in the water. But there was about 148 years ago. I could forward you the article. Yeah,
please do. I would love to see this. Every single scientist says that dinosaurs were alive like billions of years ago, but you somehow know better than all of them.
It's in the book of Job too. It's in the Bible on top of that, and science has backed it up.
Every person who's not religious or every person who's not in your subsect of Christianity is going to look at that and say that is a fairy tale. None of that has any meaning.
Well, you guys
The
think
Bible
it came from
isn't the
evolution.
Bible isn't created based on any kind of like research or anything like that. It is literally just some shit that one person said 2,000 years ago. So
They used to
I'm
think
not,
it
I'm
was
not, I'm not
flat,
trying
man.
to like
The
knock your.
Bible said it's round. The earth is a globe, is a sphere, and they used to say it was flat. So the Bible confirms science over and over. They used to drain the blood with leeches off of George Washington and people, and the Bible said don't do that. The life is in the blood. There's many scientific facts
Yes, I'm sure.
email you
You're
that
right.
were in the Bible.
There are some things. You're right. There's some things the Bible is right about. There's also a lot of things the Bible is wrong about. Like the fact that the earth. Do you believe the earth is 6,000 years old?
Absolutely. And the earth was even made before the sun. Genesis 1, Genesis chapter 1,
the
man.
Earth was made. Do you realize
the day before. Yeah.
If you say that to a scientist, they will laugh in your face.
We have debates with scientists. You look at Kent Hovind. Just because Kent Hovind went to jail and he got persecuted, he debated many scientists. Google those debates. Very good, very factual.
But bro, like what you're
people.
saying is like laughable to any person.
That's because your guys are whoremongers. They don't have an open mind. They're closed-minded. They won't
show me evidence that
I have tons of evidence. I don't have another hour and a half to get into it. Look up the Kent Hovind debates and
just
don't
show me one. Just show me one piece of evidence. Just one.
I just told you about the dinosaur cartilage that was recently found.
Show me the article.
I will email you a few articles when I get home tonight. So I'm going to close in the last spots. You guys are loved by Jesus and the church, but not accepted into heaven. You guys are going to hell for sleeping with whores and sluts and probably smoking weed and being drunks. And Jesus Christ is going to one day kill you. Maybe this year, maybe in 10 years, maybe 20 years. Don't think that you get a few extra days that you're okay with God. He's going to kill you, not the devil. The devil doesn't kill people. God is going to kill you, sinner, and throw you into hell, and you deserve that. And he might give you some STDs along the way, like he did to King David in the book of Psalms. So stop being on your high horse. Stop being prideful. The Bible says God resists the proud, gives grace to the humble. Humble yourself. Read the Bible with an open mind. That's the only way the Bible is going to click, if you read it with an open mind. And you're going to have to visit 100 Protestant churches to find one good one, because most of them suck and they don't preach and they don't stand against sin, and they're overboard Republican or they're Democrat Christian, which is an oxymoron. And visit 100 churches, but you're going to hell, people, and you need to really think about your life. And that's it. That's my close right there.
Question for you before we wrap up. Just two questions, actually.
Two questions on it. Then I got to go, man.
Okay.
I got a wife waiting for me at the house.
I have a girlfriend. Well, anyway, so do you think that God is omniscient, like he knows everything?
Yes, and omnipotent and omnipresent, all three.
Do you think God knows what it's like to be fucked in the ass?
You sound like a faggot now. If you're a fag, I just want to let you know.
If he knows everything,
if you're a bisexual, you can never ever be saved. If you're a bisexual,
I'm certainly not bisexual.
Bye, loser.
Wait, if he, I wasn't gonna go there, but that's like a funny Destiny question I saw him do. He got like triggered with that shit, dude. It's so funny. Like I give the guy respect for like fucking like coming in, but it's just so funny when I see like religious people who like LARP around as like good people. But like, I don't know, like maybe he's just like, it's rhetoric, but if you listen to the stuff this guy's saying, he's objectively a piece of shit. Like he's wishing that people get STDs. Like, okay, I'm not religious at all, but I don't wish religious people get STDs. Like, so he's wishing negativity on other people. So yeah, it's just funny that like these dudes like LARP around as like these holier than thou people. But in reality, like they're like probably worse human beings than like most agnostic people. Like that guy's like, again, going off what he's saying is objectively a piece of shit. If you wish that everyone who's not part of your tribe gets STDs, you're a piece of shit. There's like no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And like furthermore, like again, like I mean, it's funny how he thinks I'm bi just because I don't like hate gay people. Yeah, it's like if you're like telling gay people they're a piece of shit. Like, dude, like you're a piece of shit at that point. Like you're just being a fucking negative force, in the universe and the world. So it's funny. So I would say, okay, if there is a God, I would say that I have a much better chance of going to heaven than actually this dude, because I think God is going to care more about like how you actually live your life and how good you are to other people than like the shit that like the fucking church you go to. But that's just my speculation. But yeah, that was a fun debate. I was like trying to be nice to him up until the part where he started like attacking my girlfriend, and then like I was like, all right, gloves off, because I was like, I went into this with the intention of like being nice and respectful, but then we started attacking my girlfriend. I'm like, dude, like you're probably fucking married to some fat chick, like. Like you think you have like this dude's clearly like married to an attractive woman. I was like trying not to attack, his like personal shit, but he drew first blood. It's just also funny how he thinks like his subsect of Christianity is correct, but all the other ones are wrong. Like, dude, a Catholic would look at your shit and be like, you guys are the ones going to hell. But it's like when I asked him for proof, he literally said Jesus Christ was a good public speaker and that we built some shit. We founded parts of America. We created 2 colleges. That applies to every single fucking religion out there. So I don't know, man. But then every time I would try to like press him on a point, he would just like go off on like a random tangent, like sidetrack. I mean, I really just needed like 3 hours for this debate. Like this is one of those debates that just like requires time. But I had to like bounce around points because there's just like so limited time. Anyway. Like, can you imagine, dude, like, fucking being married to this dude? Like, I mean, like, dude, like, I'm the first person to, like, joke around and, like, I fucking joke with Natty all the time that she's, like, my creature, she's my sex slave. But if you ask me, like, if joke aside, if you ask me, what do you think of your girlfriend? I don't think she's my property. She's my partner, right? I see her as my equal, not physically, maybe in terms of like fighting, maybe not in terms of like starting a business, but like her intrinsic value as a human. She is very much my equal, right? That's how I see her. And if I didn't feel that way, then I wouldn't be dating her. But like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like if you think your wife is your property, then you're probably a fucking piece of shit as well. Like, that's just like, I mean, how's that different than thinking a slave is your property? He's like raging against slavery, which is rightfully so. Slavery was really wrong. He's like, oh, it's so messed up. These people would own, black people as their property. But he's like, but my wife is my property. So it's like, I don't like the contradictions were just like fucking endless, with this dude. He attacked your substitute. Yeah, I know. I mean, like, dude, like, I guarantee you that like his fucking little church fucking soy boys are like the biggest bunch of like betas who like fucking probably get like cheated on all the time and shit like that. Like, I don't know, man. Natty's your property, bro. Man up and go back to 100 BC and stake your claim. I want to see Pastor Ian versus Hormaxer debate. Yeah, that'd be funny. I banned Hormaxer from my channel, by the way. I let him go with like all his fucking negativity and shit, but then he said that black people should go back to Africa. I gave him a warning with other racist shit he was saying, and then he followed it up by saying black people should go back to Africa, and like that crosses the line. Like, I believe in free speech, but like, like you're like, like you're fucking disrespecting a sizable percentage of my audience based on their race. Like, I'm not gonna like fucking put up with like blatant fucking racism like that, especially since I gave him a warning. So yeah, fuck that dude. He's no longer welcome on my channel. If he apologizes, I'll let him back on, but that guy has way too much of an ego to do that. But yeah, like, again, like, I don't know. Like, I'm very much a pro free speech, but there are limits. Like, there's 3 limits: no doxing, no direct threats of violence, unless it's like a joking way. But if you're saying I'm going to kill you, stuff like that's not acceptable, and no blatant racism. Like, I don't care if you make racist jokes, but like, you can't be saying shit like black people go back to Africa. Like, that's so fucked up. Debate. David T. He's a former PA, Horgy's PA in those terms. Yeah, I've actually reached out to him. He never responded. Yeah, YouTube has been having a lot of issues recently. Can I join the live? Alex, I'm a Christian, disagree with all Pastor and said. We'll have to share my thoughts. Sure, Isaiah. I do got to wrap up in like 10 minutes, but we have like about 10 minutes. Me and Lil Natty have dinner plans, i.e. my property. Me and my property have dinner plans. I'm going to eat dinner and she's going to sit on the floor. What do you think about queer people? They're human beings. Their intrinsic value as a human is no less or more. They're human beings. Again, like I have 0.0 fucking percent, desire to engage in any of that shit. Personally, the idea of like being with a dude, I find really, really gross, right? But that's fine. I'm sure they feel the same way about being with a girl. But yeah, like I don't like anything that involves like putting other people down or like implying that they're less worthwhile as human beings. Because I guarantee you, those gay people are probably better human beings than this fucking idiot. God, let's bring on Isaiah. Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, Alex?
Just chilling, dude. So what were some of the thoughts you had?
Well, really, and I want to be clear, this is not like debating by any means. It's really almost everything that Aiden had to say. Someone who is a very, very deep Christian myself, grew up like pretty much if the doors were open at church, I was there. It hurt me just how poorly it is he represented who Christ is and, what true love is, what truly this walk in this faith represents. Really, there's nothing I hate more than someone who kind of like how you said, says, Jesus loves you, all these other things, but does not do anything at all whatsoever to show that with their actions. Not here to talk, facts and figures, statistics, all these other things about, this is why the Bible's accurate. I just want to say, like, me as being someone who has seen living evidence in my own life, I've seen God heal a blind person before with my very, very own eyes. I have seen God change my own life. I mean, just about like 2 years ago, I was in the worst state I ever was financially. And right now I'm doing the absolute best that I've ever done in my entire life also, but not just, God changed my financial situation, but he also changed my heart situation, changed just the way that I live. I really, really want everyone that was listening to this call to know that Jesus truly, truly loves you. And he truly wants a relationship with you, not just, I want you to, do this by my ways, my rules. Everything about what a real and a true Christian lives in terms of their life, it's because they see God as he's my heavenly father, not, oh man, I got to follow this list of rules. And when you do it from that place, you actually care about loving people. You actually care about interacting with people in a way that leaves them better and empowered. Yeah, Alex,
Yeah, dude, I agree with you that he was a very bad representation of the Christian church. Like, okay, I'm agnostic, not that I'm passionate about it, but like, let's assume I was a passionate agnostic, and like an agnostic came on and was like, I hope you Christian people fucking get STDs and you guys are all fucked up. Like, that would be a really bad look for my community. So yeah, like I think it's like a really bad look, like to say shit like that. Like, I don't know, like I hope you guys all get STDs. Like that's like, I don't know, you just seem like a massive piece of shit if you're saying things like that. Like, I think he larps around as being a good human being, but he's actually a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean, I will definitely say I feel like you have a lot better character. You have a lot more integrity about yourself. You have a lot more loving presence that you carry than what anything it is that I saw from him. And actually, it even says in the Bible, essentially that us as believers, we're supposed to be examples by our lives, not by our words. Like there's a verse that says, if you cannot be trusted with earthly money, who can trust you with the riches of the kingdom? And essentially what it's saying there is, if you don't live a life that makes people think, wow, I want to have what that person has, I want to have what that guy has, or wow, that's something that I see realness, I see results behind what they're doing, it means that you're not actually walking that life of the Christian life perfectly. And I definitely, I appreciate everything you've put together with this channel. You're helping out so many guys. You're leaving legacy. You're leaving impact. And I would really say you've done it too, because I can tell that you're diligent. You show up every single day. You put in the work to get better at game, Alex. You put in the effort to, start a social media. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that, have good game, but they didn't put in the effort to actually build a channel, do all these other things. And it's just, you're embodying certain character traits that have helped you bring your channel to this level that, I think the church should even embody. I'm not saying like start dating channels, but I'm saying the diligence and persistence. There's some Christians I've met, and I've, fallen short of this myself a few times here and there, that just aren't consistent. Like I want to say I appreciate your consistency of just how you show up and are just always giving value.
Well, thanks, dude. I really appreciate all the kind words. You seem like a good dude, which is very refreshing after fucking talking to Pastor Aiden. But yeah, like just to clarify my position, even though I'm agnostic, I don't think there's anything wrong with being religious. Like I think that I recognize that there's some practical benefits to being religious. Like, on average, you're happier. I think Christian people get divorced less, right? So there are practical benefits to being religious. I feel like it gives you a purpose, right? In some ways, I wish I could be religious. If I wish, I could believe in God. I just don't. But yeah, I think like I don't. So my position is that I don't have any like problems with people being religious. I think it's it's like, again, we don't know what happens after death, so I don't think it's like outside the realm to imagine that there's a God out there. I think that's like, it's not the craziest possible thing. Like it's fucking crazy to say that dinosaurs are still alive or dinosaurs were there 200 years ago. That is a crazy position. But I don't think it's a crazy position to say that, there might be some kind of afterlife, right? But it's like, so I don't have a problem with like the idea of Christianity or like religion. I just have a problem with like fucking like just like using your religion as a tool to be a piece of shit to other people. Like, and this goes to like every religion, like, with like Islam, there's a lot of that shit. But also with Christianity, like we saw, like this dude, like legit wants everyone to get STDs because they're part of his tribe. So it's like, or like also like I've seen videos like he goes out and like he fucking harasses like gay people and like yells at them and tells them they're going to hell. So it's like when you're using your religion as like a convenient tool to be a piece of shit, that's when I think it like becomes problematic. So
yeah, and it's really like it irritates me so much when they use it as just, oh, it's an excuse for me to not be loving, not to actually show, not to make people feel like they're in a better spot. Because I want to be clear, me being a Christian, any decision I make, be it the choice to go to church, choice to read my Bible, any of that, it's all coming from a place of I see God as my heavenly Father, and I'm building a relationship with him.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume that if there is a God out there, he would probably want you to be a good human being. Like, I don't think God would be happy if like you wish STDs upon people. Like, I don't know if there is a God, but if there is, I'm quite confident that like he would not like that. I don't think God would like someone like like verbally degrading like random people on the street who didn't do anything to him. So yeah, I don't know. It's just like weird hypocrisy that I always get like a kick out of. I feel like there's so much hypocrisy in this world, and there's a lot of it in religion. There's a lot of it outside religion too. But yeah, I think that like that dude was like a perfect example.
Yeah. I definitely hope he's not brought back onto the channel because that was.
Well, I will debate him again if he wants to. I doubt that he will. But yeah, I mean, I do think it's like a little bit unfair to like religious people for like now like people who are, for example, agnostic, going to look at this dude and they're going to think that's what religious people are like, which is obviously not true. Like most religious people are like good-hearted, chill human beings, right? Just like there's a misconception that atheists are like these like godless savages, but most atheists are good-hearted human beings, right? Most people are just in general mean well. So I do think it's like unfair for people to come to the conclusion this is what like religion is like, because it's not. Like most religious people are like, they're not like that, right? So I just think he's like, his whole thing is to like spread the message of God, but he's literally doing the opposite of that. He's turning people off to religion. Anyone who's like on the fence and looks at that, they're gonna be like, I don't want to fucking be like this guy. So it's just kind of ironic.
Yeah, and the thing is, I've gone out and I've actually done we call it evangelizing in Christianity, where you're actually sharing specifically your faith with other people, and it is not at all like what he's doing. It's we don't do picket signs. It's literally just walk by someone. I remember one particular story. There was a lady I saw in a park and basically just went off, had a little conversation, and little did I know, she was there with her boyfriend. They actually just had proposed to each other, and we literally just had basic, awesome, just general casual conversation. And there's times where like God will just give me different words about people to where like he'll say, hey, this is going on in their life. Maybe you should ask them about this. And, God was actually telling me that she was going through a season of transition at her work and feeling like she wasn't really enjoying her job and wanting to change. And I was like, yeah, is that something that has been happening in your life? I feel like that's what God's telling me. And then boom, she just opened up like crazy and was like, wow, it's like, man, I feel like someone was actually hearing me, caring about me. Like, it's really interesting. God was telling you that about me. Cause yeah, I really am just not enjoying my job, wanting to leave, wanting to get off. And she was a physical therapist, wanting to start her own physical therapy practice. And it's just, it wasn't even, I wasn't saying, oh yeah, shove, Jesus down your throat, get saved, all those other things. I was just meeting her where she was at, showing love, and leaving an impact. And also, like, I didn't walk away at that conversation thinking, oh yeah, I'm a strong arm, you now got to become a Christian. Like, actually, like, none of that happened. We just walked away, and it was just a regular casual conversation. And I really kind of feel the more sincerity that we can have in our walks, the more that is, not just even, as Christians, but just in any interaction you have with people, the more it is that you're going to leave people with a better impression of, hey, I want to make everyone have a better day.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like my uncle became religious. So we like grew up all like atheist, agnostic, and then part of my dad's part of the family, his brother, they all moved to Israel, and we moved to America, right? So kind of parted ways. But they all both grew up agnostic. My uncle now is like deeply, deeply Jewish, right? And like when like I asked him like how it happened, I saw my grandma and dad. He became Jewish because when he moved to Israel, he didn't speak Hebrew. And he wanted to learn the language, and the local temple was offering like free Hebrew classes. So he went there, and he thought like the priest or whatever, what are they called, or the whatever, like who the Hebrew whatever dudes in charge were like really nice and like helped him a lot. So that's how he drew into the religion. So it's like you catch more fish with honey or whatever. This is the saying. Like, yeah, like if you're like really nice and cool to people, a lot of people will like gravitate towards that. But if you're like a massive fucking dick, like people are gonna like not buy what you're selling just to have spite. Like no one's going to be like, this guy called me a faggot. He says I'm going to hell. He says my girlfriend's a slut. I'm going to sign up for his religion. This makes sense. Let me just ask you this quick question. I was kind of curious about this. So if you're like really religious, how did you like gravitate towards my channel? Like what, you're not following like the Tinder advice or something.
Yeah. So I guess to really give my brutally honest answer with that. So me being a super, super deep Christian, one thing I have really learned to embody that personally I think the rest of the Christian world needs to pick up is the ability to take advice from people that you don't 100% agree with everything it is that they tell you to do. Like, for example, my goal is to stay a virgin until the day I'm married. Like, I am 100% dead set on that. But the thing is, there's still some useful things I can learn from your channel. There's some better ways I can interact with women, other different things like that. And personally, I think the church needs to get better at understanding I'm grounded in what I know is truth and what's the right way to go. And just because someone doesn't necessarily have my same framework of truth and beliefs, there's still a few different good things that they can learn from me. Like another example, like I'm a vocal coach. I teach singing lessons. And I specifically work with Christians, but I have another buddy of mine, like he teaches piano lessons, and also like he, focuses it to where like the majority of his clients are Christians. And it's not like I won't work with anyone that's not a Christian. It just so happened that's mostly who I attract. But he has atheist clients that will get piano lessons from him. And I kind of feel that I understand that, yes, you don't have my beliefs, but there are certain things that I can learn from you that I know will better my life. And, I'm the type of person, I invest like crazy in mentors and coaches, a lot of them not believers. I've invested, I'm talking like college education. I've invested probably what most people would spend on a college education in just various different forms of self-education, all from people that have different beliefs than me. But because I am grounded in what I believe as a Christian, I can accept their information, understand what to follow, what things not to follow, and overall, I think you're a good guy. I think you're helping out a lot of people, especially with this whole speed dating, the fact that you're not only just doing this like, here and there, you do it like literally 2-3 times a week. That's just even crazy impressive to me. And I just
Awesome.
love what
Thanks,
you
dude.
put together.
I appreciate all the kind words, and you seem like a good dude. So I'm assuming you're like not someone who would say that like non-religious people are like less than you. You would assume like everyone is like equal. We're just following like different paths or something like that, right?
So to answer that question, we are all made in the image of God, and we are made with extraordinary value. When you come to truly get to know Christ and a deep revelation of who he created you to be, that is how you can fully tap into all of the value that you already were created. And there's some people, they still tap into that value to a certain extent without having a relationship with Jesus. That's why, they'll make millions and billions, or, like I said, get results with women, other things like that. But I truly believe not, Christians are better, but I believe for anyone to fully walk in their full value, you do need to have the person that created you to really show you and give you the revelation of who you were created to be. And those Christians I've met that they're not walking in their full value, that they're not being the best and the greatest that they possibly can be. Like, one thing that irritates me, and, I'm certain most pastors, if they heard this, like, I think there's a lot of churches out there that they need to do a better job of managing their finances. But, a lot of people are like, if I don't see another pastor showing me how to manage finances, I won't take the advice, when there's plenty of secular YouTube channels out there that can show how to manage your money. And it's how deep it is that you're tapping into your value. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, dude, I think that's a good answer. And I think you have a good mindset. If I was on the market to become religious, I would definitely gravitate to whatever it is that you're advocating rather than whatever the fuck that dude was advocating. So yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on and giving like a healthy perspective on religion. I think that's good for people to know. Is there anything you want to quickly discuss before we wrap up?
I guess the last thing I really just wanted to say is, in terms of the whole question of, is God real? I literally spent years and years studying all the different science, all that other mumbo jumbo. I could rattle on for hours all the scientific evidence of God, but I'm not going to, because I'd rather just have you guys ask him personally, hey, God, show me you're real. It says in the word, if you ask God, hey, show me you're real, show me your presence, he's going to show up in a way that you will not forget. So just have that openness to say, hey, God, show me your authenticity, show me the real, the true you, not what, religion paints, not what, these other people, preachers and teachers are trying to manipulate you to be, but the real and the true you.
I'll share a funny little anecdote as we're wrapping up. You'll probably get a kick out of this. So a lot of people know this, but I grew up Christian, right? Like I had a very religious nanny, and she like basically got me to be religious, even though everyone in my family was like atheist. But anyway, so this was around maybe when I was like 13, 14. So this is such a silly story, but my tire, I had a bike, like a, whatever, like a bike that I used to ride around, and my tire, whatever ran out of air. So I borrowed my neighbor's tire pump. And then me being the dumbest I was, I just left it. It was like electric one. I left it for like hours and it broke, right? And I was like my dad was like he was a loving, but he was very, very strict, right? And I knew that if I went to my dad and said, hey, I broke the neighbor's tire pump, I would be like, fuck. Like I would be grounded for like a while. He'd yell at me and like it would be like, bad. Especially he was like, don't borrow things from other people, like do it yourself type of mindset. So anyway, so I was like so fucking scared because I like broke this dude's tire pump. So I fucking plugged it into the wall, wouldn't turn on. You know what I did? I prayed for like 2 hours that God would make this fucking tire pump work. Next day I woke up and it worked. It's bizarre, it was an interesting experience. I mean, at this point, I'm like, I don't actually attribute it to God, but I can't also prove that it wasn't God. I mean, it was a weird fucking coincidence. So yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. So that's probably the closest I ever come to like experiencing God or whatever.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you had that little experience. And I guess, do you mind if I share just a super quick story to wrap things up? Is when I actually did truly see an actual legit miracle.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So I like and this is like when I knew, like I still had a relationship with God at this point, but this is when I knew, okay, this person is truly, truly real, and I have seen it. So there's this youth camp I would go to every single year with my church, and same kids would go there every single year from just different churches all across the state. And this was my 4th year going. Every single year, there's this blind kid there, and one thing about blind people is when they're in an environment that they're not in every day, they're really confused. They get really exhausted and tired just because they need to go off what they sense and what they feel and what they hear. And he was just so frustrated. And this 4th year that I went to that camp, I was just looking at the kid and I was like, God, just heal him of his sight. Just give him sight. And to be honest, it was a half-hearted prayer. It wasn't even, oh yeah, I fully was believing it was going to happen. I was more like, it'd be nice if this happened, but maybe it might not happen, but we'll see what God does. And then literally later on that night, after they had the little church service at the camp, one of my buddies came running out and was like, hey, that blind kid that's been walking around at this camp for years? And he's like, I was like, yeah. He said, that dude can see. And straight up walking around, he was able to see. Literally the next day, he was walking around from having a cane to literally a super soaker and shooting everybody.
Whoa, wait, dude, you're saying, wow, that is fascinating. You're saying this dude was blind like all his life, or it was like
yes, blind his entire life. And I went there 4 years straight, and I saw the dude walking around with the cane, having a hard time navigating. And every year I feel so bad for him. And I knew for a fact, okay, God, you are absolutely real. If you guys Google, there's actually a documentary. It's called Sin Proof, and it's actually, they document the science of different miracles like that taking place for anyone that's like really analytical. If you Google it,
that is way more badass than my fucking tire story. So this dude, okay, let me just make sure I'm not missing anything. This dude was like legally blind, right?
Yes, legally blind.
And then that night he got his vision back completely.
Yes, that night got his vision back 100% completely. Happened at Camp Cedar Ridge in Colorado, in Cedar Ridge, Colorado, in the year, I believe it was like 2014.
But okay, let me ask you just this one last question. Why do you think? Because I'm sure you're not the first person to pray for him. I'm sure other people have prayed for him in the past, right? I'm sure his parents have prayed, and like everyone else. Why do you think God ignored all the people and listened to you? Why didn't he listen to his parents when they prayed for him? Have you thought about that?
Yeah, so that's a really big and deep question that people ask a lot in Christianity. And I've studied it very, very deeply. There's really 2 answers to that question. The first answer is there are certain strongholds, and to be honest, it would take a whole hour for me to get into what that is. But there's certain things in terms of, I also believe the devil is real. I do believe hell is real. But I believe God loves you and wants to have a relationship with you and prevent you from having to go there. But the devil is a very, very real person. And it actually says in the word that he is the accuser. He is going out specifically to try to manipulate, steal, kill, destroy things in our lives. And there's certain strong, dark oppressions and holds that he has on people. And basically, and once again, it'd take a little bit too long to go into all the details of it, but there's certain things in the supernatural that take place to really remove his stronghold that he has on those areas. And the second answer to that question is basically, it just takes faith in the Lord, but also trusting him when the healing doesn't come. I've prayed for other people to get healing for different things. There's one time.
Can you pray that my Lyme disease goes away?
Yeah, I can pray for you right now.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's a pretty crazy story. I'll keep that story in mind. But yeah, dude, I really appreciate you coming on. I think you gave a good counter perspective, and I appreciate you being a good-hearted human being.
Yeah. You wanted to end with praying for you for the Lyme disease thing that we'll wrap up.
Well, you don't have to do it publicly, just privately, I think. I sort of said that as a joke, but it doesn't hurt to try.
All right. Well, yeah, I appreciate you allowing me to come on, Alex, and yeah, wishing you an awesome rest of your night.
You as well, buddy. Have a good one, man.
All right. Bye.
Take care. Yeah, but such a sharp contrast. Like this dude, like seems like such like a good-hearted human being, and the other guy seems like such a piece of shit. It's like such a crazy contrast. No, man. Fucking yeah, yeah. That's a badass story though. Like I truly believe that he's not lying about the story. There could be other factors that he doesn't realize. Like maybe I don't know. I don't know what it could be. It definitely could be there's other things that he hasn't thought about, but I believe him when he said, like, I don't think he's lying about that story. Like, I think that's what he observed. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of weird shit that happens that cannot be explained by science. Like, that is true. Like, weird shit happens that, like, just cannot be explained. I don't know if the conclusion I would go to that it's God. Could be sometimes just random, like, just could be. But again, the timing is a little miraculous on that. But yeah. All right. Anyway, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I'll probably do something tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll probably do more of like an open panel, open forum type of thing. But yeah, it was. I kind of enjoyed this debate. It was interesting. I'm gonna now go and have dinner with my property, and she's getting no appetizers. I appreciate y'all. Have a good night, guys.